They are the chants demanding change and the crowds of solidarity. Over the weekend, a caravan of cars taking the streets of Miami in support of the activists who called on the Cuban people to rally against their government. But on the island today, authorities have so far managed to contain demonstrations, avoiding the huge protests witnessed this summer when fury over dire economic conditions gripped the island, while COVID infection rates were sky high. It was a summer of anger, fury over dire economic conditions that gripped the island during the COVID pandemic. That frustration continues to simmer. Dawn is just breaking, but already outside this supermarket, more than 100 people are standing in line. Many have been here since the day before.
Things have been like this ever since COVID. The pandemic made people's economic situation fall through the ground.
This young playwright has become the face of a new movement, trying to build on last summer's protests, demanding political and civic rights.
Cuba is not hell, but Cuba is not heaven. Cuba is very complicated. I think that we don't have democracy in Cuba, but the future for Cuba is our responsibility, without interference from anywhere in the world.
But the Cuban government denied Garcia the permits to hold today's protest, accusing him of being a pawn for US-backed regime change. State-run television ran videos of Garcia meeting with American diplomats and attending a foreign-run workshop on how to involve the Cuban military in political change.
Al contrario, es mi derecho humano y constitucional caminar como un ciudadano libre por una de las calles llevando solamente una rosa blanca.
Garcia had planned a one-man march on Sunday, but authorities prevented him from leaving his house. Instead, the Cuban government organised its own rally in Havana's Central Park. Sitting on the ground, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel. COVID rates were through the roof, and lockdown was grueling. Today, 76% of the population has been fully vaccinated, and cases are more than 10 times lower, according to the Cuban Ministry of Public Health. People are returning to work. Schools reopened today, and tourists will be welcomed back for the first time in more than 18 months. There are people who think like law student Elizabeth Rodriguez. She wants more economic opportunities, but also fears US interference in Cuba's domestic affairs.
Of course, we need change, but we have to change it from inside the country, not being paid about an external government. You lose all credibility.
Then you meet others, like Adele Perez, one of the thousands who poured into the streets last summer. Even though this theatre actor was arrested, Perez plans to risk it all again.
If the police don't arrest me, yes, I am going to express my thinking about all this. I'm going to express my solidarity with the Cuban people.
All right, Ed joins us now live from Havana. So, Ed, explain what happened today.
Well, protest organisers had been hoping for months that they would be able to build on the huge, unprecedented, historic demonstrations that happened back in July. It didn't happen. There were no mass demonstrations. There were spatterings here and there throughout the island of some people that came out, a couple of people here, a couple of people there, that were arrested, sometimes bundled into vans, sometimes escorted away in police cars. But overall, the state was able today, at least, to contain the demonstrations by criminalising the march and using the strategy of house arrest, temporary, it looks like, house arrest. And all eyes now really turn to Washington, which has been watching today's events very, very closely. What is the Biden administration going to do with this vexed issue of Cuba policy that's so important, of course, for winning Florida? Are they going to interpret today's events in the following way? Look, we thought the Cuban government might be on the ropes. We thought it might be near to fall. But actually, now we can see it's asserted its authority. It was a pipe dream. Now we're going to soften the sanctions and help the Cuban people, but by extension, the Cuban government. Or, on the other hand, are they going to think, well, there's been repression, there have been arrests, people haven't been allowed that basic human right of demonstrating. Are we going to double down on this Trump era policy of regime change and really trying to grind this government down. They've been watching this closely. The ball's in their court.
Okay, Ed, we thank you for your report tonight from Havana.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.